Hello. Hi. I'm Patricia McNeely. I am an illumined Blu-ray twin flame from Chicago, Illinois. How are you today? First, I want to say thank you to everyone who reached out to wish me well going to the YouTube Creator Studios. I'm going to talk about it at length in a different video, but it was really a very nice experience. I was very honored to be going and representing us. Thank you very much. And they really did go out of their way to make it a special event. There's a lot to talk about just there. But today, I was getting a lot of pressure to talk about what I will call Star Wars and Mars going direct. Now, as you know, if you've been following my videos, this year has several retrogrades that I've spoken of already. And there's a point where things start to go direct. There's a point where things appear to go backwards. You go to revisit things. You feel like you're recycling crud and you don't want any more of it. But there comes a point when things start to push forward. So on June 29th is when Mars goes direct. And we are bringing these energies in from Sirius to Mars. Mars is what I would call the stationary point in our solar system where a lot of the brand new masculine and feminine has been, in some ways you could say, parked. It's been parked there, ready to deliver directly to Earth. So a lot of people, I tend to call Sirius the technical medical healthcare wish planet, where there's been a lot of innovations and things that are really going to come into fruition here. Brought to Mars and now to Earth. But meanwhile, it's been a time of getting out the bad blood. So for a lot of people, they have been wondering what's been going on. Some of you have a context for it. But what I want to reassure you is that the major conflicts, especially here on Earth, that go back to hundreds of thousands of years ago on this planet, to Atlantis, to the civilization of Lemuria, to some of these invasions that we've done with each other in ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, India, Greece, Rome, Mongolia, all of the battling, the arguing, especially over principles, where people will say, but it's the principle of the thing. I really think my way is right, and I will now fight you over it. The reasons are the major conflicts. What I want to assure you that these energies of invasion, and a lot of you know what that feels like, even if you have not been invaded. All you have to do is have someone walk into your space, and you may feel like you're invaded. The energy of deprivation and also genocide. This is a big one. This has been where entire peoples have been attempted to be wiped out. However, all of our energies have commingled from other places and timelines. And we have been purifying as we're going along here. So the dates that I was getting was from June 29th to about July 4th here in my country and in Europe. A lot centered right around July 14th, which I understand in France is Bastille Day. And this does come through in people's sessions too, where I get the energy of tearing down the monarchies, the guillotine. I will get energetics of battle, all kinds of damage to the body, the emotions, and the psyche. And what is being removed is this damage to the psyche and the ego. So I had gotten this word because there's still a lot of infighting in a lot of countries and a lot of groups. It's starting up. People are noticing. You can't help but notice because your calluses are gone. The hardnesses, the walls, they're gone now. They've been dissolving away little by little over the past year. And you're wondering, why do things feel like this? Why do things feel unfulfilling? Why am I dissatisfied with something that I used to enjoy, whether it's work or a group or an activity or a bunch of people or your family or even your children? Why? Why would it be like that? You've been dismantling and you've been removing everything that doesn't work. And even if you haven't been, your soul is doing the clear out. And what does that mean? Well, this is why I talk about certain different colors of the rays. What are the blue rays doing? What are the blue golden people doing? And what are some of the other color expressions doing by being who you are? You're all bringing something to the table, and you are bringing restoration and restructuring. There is a restructure out of the chaos of things that have occurred already. You are collapsing all of the old ways, and you're seeing this. You're seeing this publicly. You're seeing it in your life, maybe at work. You're seeing it in other relationships. I got the word demarcation point very clearly, and I had to look it up. And turns out this goes back to about the year 1400, when Spain and Portugal decided that they would, split some things. And of course, things changed and evolved over all of the years since then. But I know that I got the word demarcation to indicate that this is where we are separating worlds. So, depending on where you're getting your information from, you're going to see some of this separation in the worlds. I found some of the old things that I had here. This was something I did last year, where I outlined some of the areas where we have been: Antares, the Pleiades, Lyra, the energies being brought from these damaged places to Mars, to Jupiter, to Neptune, and then here to Earth, balanced out by Jupiter and Venus. And we're at that point now. So for people who have said to themselves, oh, you know what, I've done all my work, I feel better, I think I'll just go be with someone else and not wait for my twin, you might be waiting till next year. Or you might not. Your twin may very pleasantly surprise you. We're also in the energy of surprises. Those really good surprises, like when you least expect it, or when you maybe are expecting something and it's even better than you might think it could have been. And there is a breakdown going on simultaneously with this. It is the breaking down, the continued breakdown of old structures. It's no different than tearing down an old building because the plumbing shot, the electricity shot, the infrastructure is shot, and you just have to start from scratch. There are some things like that. There is also a sense of being toted along while things do get restructured from the inside out, because that is where it is. It's not always in the outward things. It's on the inside. That's the important thing here to know, is that you're not restructuring with anything else out there except your twin. Period. You're restructuring and you're restoring and you're reconnecting, and you're reconnecting and anchoring your 5D here. The anchor points are through your body. If you're not working your light body, you're not growing spiritually. Spiritual growth, body growth equals spiritual growth. It's not the other way around. You can't grow spiritually in a mental way. If you don't work your light body, if you don't open it, expand it, tweak it, scrape it off, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here, people. You're getting rid of the things that don't work. If any of you who've been in a relationship with a soulmate are aware of this, you may know that in some ways that person was practice for you. Husbands are good practice. Wives are good practice. And then they become ex-husbands and ex-wives or ex-lovers because they cannot finish anything for you. They cannot bring anything to completion. Your situation will move along. And that is a natural progression of things. So what we are getting out, you are removing some really, really dire emotions here. Guilt, anger, shame, judgment, violence, hatred, and you are focusing on your inner well-being. We are getting the hate out. We're getting the violence out. I'm going to say this to the men out there. Men, if you've been having dreams of fighting, or you have a dream where you try to hit something and it just feels like there's no power to it, that's a good thing. It may be frustrating for you, but this is telling you that you will not have that same level of violence, nor will you have the necessity to use violence going forward in your life. And we all know that, here it is. There are people that are finding the way to deal with things that the mind cannot cope with. Their mind is, the ego mind will tell them there's this solution or that solution. All the king's horses and all the king's men cannot put anything back together again. You cannot resolve things. You cannot get the darkness out using more darkness. That's a quote from Martin Luther King. And there are people that will hold themselves hostage. I remember a film I saw years ago called Blazing Saddles. And one of the main characters happened to be African American. And everyone in town was against him because he was going to be the new sheriff. And he did this thing where he took himself hostage. And all of a sudden, everyone became concerned for him, for his well-being. And it's like this where people begin to take others or take themselves hostage and they begin to become concerned. And yet that person has to be concerned. That was a comedy, it had a little bit of flavor of sarcasm in there and, a little tongue-in-cheek humor. But when it comes to proper care of yourself, this is where it is absolutely imperative that you connect yourself with your own new divine masculine and new divine feminine. There are people that are very confused right now and they're spinning around in space. They are doing the equivalent of staying on the karmic wheel where they're just doing this. They're just spinning around. They're mentally spinning it. They're wondering and they're wondering and they're trying all the old things and none of the old things will work. Now, I want to talk to you about why am I calling it Star Wars? Why am I calling it Star Wars? Okay, and you've seen me use some of the props from Star Wars. Like I got this one, The Force Awakens. May the Force be with you. Now, this film came out when I was younger. I loved it. I saw it 10 times the year it came out. And it was very new. It was, now you can look at it and sort of laugh at some of the special effects maybe. I know that there's kids that have no idea of how new it was. Just like a lot of technology and a lot of entertainment that comes out, it's so new. And yet there's a point where everything moves along and continues evolving. So I just knew that there was going to be an awakening. And I have felt for a long time that there's a lot of messages that come through the Red Ray people that are right in the titles of films. They're in song lyrics about the progression of this. In fact, I very much feel that every sector of society is getting the messages that they need to. Are they able to pay attention? So here you have several themes in Star Wars, which is a lot of what we are addressing with this retrograde, with the moving forward and moving direct. Now, while there's people that will still love the Star Wars sagas and still want the battle to continue, these are the only places that the battle is continuing. So you have the veterans who are maybe the career military people, and they sometimes are the voice of reason, where they will say that's not good strategy. And then you have the hotheads. And those are the people with the true psychoses that have, led entire countries into a demise. You have what has been called the empire. So you've got the energies of empire. You've got the underdogs. You've also got enslavement. You've got almost there's another thing people comment about these are, where are the women in them? Okay, where's the women? You have one main female character and nobody else. You have enslavement. You have the child being taken away from the parent. You have people being sold. You have people being deprived. So all of these things that I've got here, battling, invasions, deprivation, genocide, you have the entire blowing up of a planet. That in itself horrified me as a person, as a kid, when I saw this. And I was a teenager. I was about 14 when it came out, and seeing a planet blow up actually brought up some memories. That's why I'm talking about this. I've had memories of atomic conflicts when I read Hiroshima, and I also have had memories get triggered out. Now, what I want to say to you is that not everyone will have the same context as I do. However, all of the major conflicts, the darkness within has been removed by the blue rays. And we are the ones who have the abilities to do this. This is why when you're a blue ray, it is important that you at least acknowledge it with yourself and focus on your twin. No matter what that person is doing, it's important. You're important. Everyone here is important. Now, what happens to the people who die? What happens to the ones who've died of genocide? Several genocides. And I'm talking about some heavy-duty stuff here. There are twin flames that are collapsing things where they appear to be on opposite sides. Oh, I was this in this life and you were this. And now we come together and we're kissing and we're making it all better. But we've had to scrape out the bottom of the barrel here. I'll tell you what you are doing. You are going with things where there are natural and necessary changes. There is a higher hand at work, and yet you are expected to take the steps that you can at the human level. You have already fulfilled your agreements in 3D. The 3D persona is falling away. So there's a number of people who say, I can't feel my twin anymore. You know why? Because that 3D persona is going bye-bye, going down the drain. That does not mean that your twin is going away. That is a misconception. Your twin is not going away just because you can't feel them. You will feel the higher divine aspect of your twin, and that's what you're supposed to feel. I have a lot of people that say, I love that person's soul, but I don't like them and I don't love them. And that's not actually correct. You're not loving 3D habits and behaviors. So if you've been someone like this, if you've participated and you're in this life, you might have these feelings well up. If you're the twin on the other side of the union, and you're wondering, why does your gut hurt? Why does your head hurt? Why did your private parts hurt? Why do parts of you hurt? Because there is nowhere to shove this anymore. It's going to come out on one end or the other. That's what being in union is. If you are in separate places for your union, your soul is protecting you, and you're able to more easily release this. It becomes very challenging up close and personal. And it's not impossible. I will always tell people, be with your twin. Be sensible. This is another important thing for right now with this Mars direct. And as we go into July, the cycle has ended. It ended with the solstice in June. and the door is closed. We're closing the door on old ways. Old ways won't work anymore, whether they are rituals, beliefs, activities, the things that have been repetitive. And this is a big reason why some people seem to be going ahead. And if your twin is still spinning on the karmic wheel, guess what? Their foundation has been shaken up and is falling away. It's fallen away. So, you are in new energy. And you're also here to receive and believe. Keep believing that your union is happening in the physical. For a lot of you, it's still going to happen this year. We still got a half a year left, and a lot is going to happen. This is the main thing that is happening when we've ended this cycle of karma forever. You are free. You are free to bring out the best in each other. Why? Because you have taken all of the airy aspects of yourself, all the watery emotional aspects of yourself, all of the fiery aspects of yourself. And this has been a big one. Mars and fire and anger have sometimes gone hand in hand. When it comes to being the fire, sometimes it doesn't translate well. That translates as demanding, pushy, controlling, intimidating. It can also be the electric energy. And electric is good when it's getting action, when the cape is on, and when there's things to get done. And things need to be done with a structure. There needs to be structure to society. It can't be based on archaic laws and archaic things. And we've been seeing some pretty big events here. You know, we've seen revolution in Egypt. We've seen it in other places. We've seen some wars end. We've seen conflict. We've seen votes lately. And there are people that are trying to vote using the Star Wars method. You know, let's blow it up, or let's explode something, or, you know, let's just do this and let someone else sort it out. The buck stops here. Everyone has to sort out their own mess. Some people have been a real hot mess, and some people are scratching their heads wondering why they feel a certain way. Why do they feel sick? Why do they feel depressed? Why do they have irritable bowel syndrome? Why are they having gut problems and fibromyalgia and they don't know what to do? Why are they diabetic? Why has the masculine sweetness been sucked out of their union? It's all going to be restored. Why has the feminine sweetness been sucked out of their life? Why do they seem to keep meeting the same person or the same domineering parent that shows up in a hot person? There it is, but that person is turning out to be the same 3D persona that you need to get away from. There are reasons why these karmic patterns, that's karma. Karma keeps spinning in space until you get off the wheel and you say, enough, enough. I don't want any more. So, another thing that I found ironic here was how the darkness is being used to, I probably shouldn't, I get nothing from this company, being used to sell stuff. That did not happen when this film came right out. So I found it absolutely ironic because right next to these words it says, healthy kids shapes in broth. And I thought, this character was anything but healthy. A slave as a child, taken from his mother to go learn the Jedi ways, and going ahead, concerned for his mother, turns to killing all the kids, turns to the dark side, is instrumental. It believes that his own true love has turned against him, and then believes without feeling his heart that she's dead. And that he just snaps. Now, this is a character, but this is indicative of what happens in real life. with people. They don't believe or feel that they're loved. If you have a twin flame out there, send your love to your twin. Stop these cycles. He went back to rescue his parent, only to find she had been tortured and died in his arms. Snap. Snap. The mind cannot hold the capacity that the heart can. And so this is, you might say, well, that's just a story, Patricia. This is sci-fi. This is a science fantasy. But it is this stuff that has occurred in planet after planet where trouble followed. Why did trouble follow? Because it's the damaged psyche that has been connected to the ego and the mental body and affecting your physical body. This is the good news, though. You are able to get off of this. Start connecting with your own higher self. Start connecting with your own higher energies, because you're in a brand new time now. The old cycle has ended. I actually got this and I found it absurd that, here's something warm and fuzzy and it's like, well, the darkness, I don't know if anyone else sees that the way I do. I really don't care. I walk in the store and sometimes I bust out laughing because that's how diminished some of the darkness has gotten, is that we're putting everything in its proper perspective. As a Blu-ray, I feel this because I've spent my nights of removing the shadow men, of stopping the fighting, of being conscious in a dream, and it's not a dream, it's an actual vision, of seeing things that would make your hair curl and still going out and being the love. That's who twin flames are. You can be right near the darkness. You could be in it. Your own twin could be standing right in front of you, and you will still love that person. The love emanates and vibes out of your heart. So I have a little thing to show you. I made a little diorama here, because some of what has happened with the genocide and the battles, and this is Revolutionary Wars, it's been the Napoleonic Wars, it has been Mesopotamia, Greece, Rome, the Carthage Wars, the Punic Wars, stuff in ancient India, stuff that has happened here in the United States, all over. Australia, feeling really disenfranchised, going off to fight some conflict without any true, real connection to something. And this has happened a lot, not to mention what's happened in the other continents, Eastern Asia, large parts of Asia, the Middle East. I mean, everything is subject to this. South America, you have all of the ethnic pain bodies are leaving. So I made a little diorama to just kind of illustrate here the way that I've felt it. And I'm going to bring you in closer here. Now, I'm using Superman as he is the light angelic male blue golden ray, who's been helping the spirits of all of the soldiers who've been in this conflict. And people have been praying for them. People have been saying, please protect my son. Please bring my son home to me. Please bring my husband home to me. Please spare them, save them. Please bring my wife home. Please bring my daughter home intact. And what's happened? There's been a lot of damage. There's people with post-traumatic stress disorder. There's people with actual physical damage, amputations. And I know a lot of people want this all to be light and warm and fuzzy. But the paradox here is you're getting out all of the hurts, the harms, the trauma. And yes, your prayers have been answered. The prayers have been answered. And he has taken his rainbow essence and brought them to a level of safety. Now, healing has occurred in Chiron, in Mars, in Pluto. Pluto is one of the places where childhood sexual abuse and physical abuse has occurred. And some of this war trauma, where you're almost a hapless victim getting caught up in someone else's damaged psyche and they're wiping out your entire race of people, or trying to. The thing is angelic nature will always, always rise up. We always come back. We always live. We always do. So these are the sleepers. These are the harmed and wounded people who are the sleepers getting woken up from Neptune, from Pluto, from Uranus, from Sirius, from Mars. And whether or not you believe it and say, oh, this is a bunch of sci-fi, I really don't care. I know what I know, and I do know that I've known this for a long time. I've known that so many people from World War II will begin to get woken up without the memory of the trauma, without the memory of the battle, without the direct emotional baggage of it. That's what's being gotten rid of. You're getting rid of the emotional content. You are left with an awakening and an awareness of who you are, who you might have been at one time, and why are you here? So as people begin to wake up to this and know who they are and know who, they don't want to be anymore. Because a lot of people don't, you quite literally won't have the stomach for fighting anymore. You won't be able to fight your twin. You won't be able to, a lot of people won't feel like they could go into war situations. Not without a really good reason, but I would like to believe that we will no longer have these reasons on a massive scale. We are having little pockets where it can't be shoved down and it can't be hidden anymore. So, this archangel, he wants to get everyone off his essence, off the cape. He's already, if you are calling on any archangel, start calling upon your own higher self. Get the hangers-on off of you. That is what is happening. There's people that feel like they're clinging to us and they're dragging us down to where it's like our life can feel upside down. Do your part to get people, places, things, organizations off of you. Now, I will be coming out with some other materials, and two things to mention. I am starting up another live webinar starting this Wednesday. I'm going to open it up. I hope to have a live Q&A. Some of the technology is challenging for me. I'm going to do my best with it. But there's a program I have for a month where I'm going to do it in 5 segments. And I'm going to price it so that I hope that a lot of people who may have hesitated in the past, that you feel okay to join. And it's intended to help you. So if this is new to you, if you're just finding out about twin flames and who you are and why things are, and it's been an abrupt awakening, especially if it's very recent, you may be one of the people who has woken up from some of these old timelines. There are people we've collapsed the timeline. We got to wake up the people now. And they are getting woken up. They are coming home. They are being aware. There is something I want to tell you, too, about abundance. And just like people think that there's money to be made by speculation in the breakdown of empires and holding things over people's heads, I want to tell you something. There is an even better way of making your abundance, which is your health, your well-being, your financial wealth and security in the buildup of new. It works both ways. Find out how to connect to your own higher essence so that you start getting the guidance for yourself. Not my guidance, Not that other person's guidance. Not this guy who's still got to get his helmet off his head and, start living like a lover instead of a warrior. The fight is being taken out from the inside. The love is there, and it keeps welling up and getting more and more. So some of my webinars that will help you with this, especially for people whose twins have addictions to alcohol, drugs, have to take meds for anti-anxiety or depression. You don't know how your twin is going to stop being in another relationship, sexual addictions. A good basis is my Angelic Light Body in Transition, which begins helping you with the body changes and opening and expanding your channels. That's what I teach. And catching your spirit body. Because all of these people who've been the wounded and harmed soldiers, warriors, the wounded healers have been healed. Now it's time for the wounded warriors. The wounded warriors who've been in these major conflicts again and again and again, who've been caught up in history, find out how to bring their spirit home to you. Catching your spirit body. And for those of you who wonder, what am I talking about when I talk about blue rays or blue golden or red rays or green rays? My webinar that is called The Entire Spectrum of the Rays is where I talk about that in great detail, about what type of angelics you are and what does it mean and what are some of the callings of the heart. There's a lot of information in there. With each of these, I have exercises for you to open up your channels and make it easy. It's for your comfort. Find out about your own light body. So that's my presentation. Star Wars, I know for sure there's going to be a lot more stories out there, and that is what is happening to our stories. The things that we have lived through as we collapse those timelines, yes, they become stories. They become parts of your novels. They become a part of your true love story. Stick to your own true love story. You'll be glad that you did. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the description below. The links will be there for these. And I will be back with another presentation in a few days. Thank you. Bye now.